Hi, this is Ann with Fiber Designs by Ann, and I'm reworking a little piece that I made, and it was a sun print that I did on fabric using paint. And it was a bigger piece, and I cut just this little bit out. These are made with leather ferns, and originally I put a little batting behind it, and I had it on cardstock. And I decided, and then I machine stitched around the blanket stitch, and I didn't love it. So I took the cardstock off, which kind of destroyed the blanket stitch. So I re-blanket stitched it by hand, which was kind of funky and not so great. And then I decided, since this is kind of a winter theme, to go ahead and put some fuzzy, wonderful, soft fuzzy yarn I've used a lot in many projects, just around the edge to look a little bit like snow. I've got several tools here, and I have some metallic thread. It's good, but it's just not my thing. I am going to use that on this project. I also have these little findings. I'll show you a close-up of this. These are findings that you put on jewelry for beads, holding on beads or other parts of jewelry, and I discovered that because they're a soft metal, I can open them up and make them flat and make these little, I'm thinking of them as snowflakes. Those look a little more like a flower. And I also have some beads. I used my jeweler pliers and diagonals, and for the round one I just gently walked them around it as I flattened the piece out. You could really almost do this with your hand, it's such a soft material. And just kept going until it was nice and flat. And then for the piece that has the points, I just took every little, well, first I cut that little ring off the top. Now, if you do this, be really careful, have either eye protection on or cover it with your hand as I did. And when you snip, because it may go flying. And then just gently use the plier tip and push every one of those flat. Just walk it all the way around again and make it nice and flat. And then I look at it, and if one of the arms is kind of sticking over to one side, I just gently put the pliers on it and just pull it over a little, straighten it out so they all look kind of even. When those were stitched on, because they're not an even number, I couldn't stitch just from one side to the other. I had to just stitch around and not go into one of the little indentations where the points are, if that makes sense. So here's a diagram that shows how I stitched that. The red would be the thread. So I'm going to lay these around. A couple things I do is take a picture of the layout with my phone so that I can put them in approximately the same place. I have a felt tip marker, and I'm going to mark in the center of that little flowery snowflake, and I have my metallic thread and a needle that the bead will fit over, and I'm going to hold my finger about at that spot and tack my thread on the back. You can tie a knot if you'd rather, and if you do this, be sure and hold the tail, because otherwise you might pull it through like I just did. So I'll just make a little tack, holding the tail this time. And once that's done, I'm going to look to the front and put my needle from the back through the center of that dot, which won't show anyway, so it really doesn't matter what you make the dot of. And then in the center of the little, be sure you have that snowflake, the side up that you want. And I'm going to push it through, and if you want the bead to stand up, you might go through a few times. If you want it just to show lay flat like and have a circle in the center, all that just depends on how many times you pull the thread through, and of course you can only go through so many times, but once you've decided it's the way you want it, I just flip it over again and tie the knot. This is going to be glued to something, so it doesn't matter. That's going to be glued down in the end. Just tie it off. So something happened I didn't anticipate. There's the finished piece. I was going to put it on a card, and I did put it on a card. This cardstock pre-made card was too thin, so the gel medium soaked into the batting, and it really made the cardstock really bumpy, beyond repair. But I did take the cardstock and I laid some of the little snowflakes on it, and I put it inside a box, and I spritzed paint, watered down paint that's in a mist bottle. I spritz it on it, and so it gave me a nice design on what would have been the card, the background, and I liked that a lot. And then I put I laid the box on its side, and I pinned some fabric to the back of it and just used up my paint by squirting this fabric, and I can use that in something else. It was fun to do, and I'll probably use these techniques in some other pieces. If you like this video, I hope you will give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do, and feel free to share this video. And this has been Anne. Thanks a lot for watching.